I brought the idea to Kevin. I said, you pitch it, because I'm not going to push that idea. But Kevin Scott got it done, because that 10-week period where they weren't doing it, started and stopping it, it was great in the big picture because it wasn't hot-shotted.
Fellas, let's start off with the bro my God moment of the week. We have Harland, who was pinned to be the next Brock Lesnar to many. The next big thing. That's what Brock Lesnar's name used to be back in the day. When he signed, he was compared to Brock Lesnar by Paul Heyman. And then he was released before making it to the big leagues in the main roster. Dexter Lumis, Sam Shaw. I know you worked with Sam Shaw, Vince, and Dakota Kai. They were gone too. A few other people, Michael Bivens, Persia Parada. Your thoughts on Harland, from what you know? I know that, Vince, I know you don't watch NXT, but you do stay notified throughout the interwebs of these particular characters. Have you heard anything on the scene as far as Harland is concerned, or your thoughts on Harland?
Who, me?
Yep.
Yeah, bro, I don't know Harland, but you know what? Listen, I was questioning this for a long time, but I think the WWE just made a statement and they corrected it. Bro, they've released a lot of people that they invested a lot of money in. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars of talent they've released that they've invested in. And I think that's why they just made that decision that came down the pipeline with, like, they're going to bring people into NXT and give them 90 days, because I think they realized, man, they've lost a lot of money investing in a lot of people that they wound up cutting off the roster, man.
Now, do you blame that on the talent, or do you blame that on the lack of creatives?
I think it's a little bit of both, bro. I mean, I really
a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, I think every circumstance would be different, but I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, I agree with that. Paige, thoughts on Harland?
I thought he had a good look, but you never. I mean, it's so different today, man. I mean, you don't even have really a chance to get stuff over. Like, I know the guys when I was down there at Mania, and I went there just to see Bronson's match, because Bronson, I've known him for a long time, and I really thought he was going to get a push. I didn't see that push coming that fast, because so green but so good. But if you look at that last pay-per-view they did, and when I went to Scott's Memorial, the whole clique was there, friggin' Sean and I were talking about the pay-per-view, and he told me that pretty much all those kids were like under a year, some of them 6 months of real training. And they were out there, and I saw a lot of the show later, watched through it. It was a hell of a show. And to think that they did that number right before about to go do Mania. If you don't get over right away, and they decide, it looked like you just go like, okay, these guys are working their ass off, and they're showing something, and maybe it's a different world, man. It's a different world. It's click, 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 and you better jump on, because there was a lot of guys there for a lot of time. Who I was surprised they got rid of was Dakota. Because first of all, I thought she was good looking, had a great look. I thought her work was really good. I was expecting to see her up there, and she never got that shot. I was surprised. I'll tell you what, if I was Tony Khan, I'd pick her up, because they've got some good talent over there, women now, but WWE's women talent is off the chain. Those girls, are some. Most of them are as good or better than the guys. I mean, there's some great women talent on that top roster, and I thought she would have got an opportunity, but she didn't. But if I was Tony, I'd pick her up. it's just a different world now, bro. Click, click.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from Kai's story, from what's reported, Kai actually wanted her release, her and Malcolm Bivens.
Really? Okay.
Stokely Hathaway, yeah. It does make sense to me because she's been in NXT for a long time, and there's a lot of people who came after her, got caught up before her, and she's been busting her butt in NXT. You know, she came from someone who was a relative, enhancement talent, just kind of winning and losing, matches, to making a heel turn, winning the tag team titles with Raquel Gonzalez, now Raquel Rodriguez, and then kind of reestablishing herself with Wendy Chu, and then winning the titles again and Stand and Deliver with Raquel, and losing him like the next episode before Raquel gets called up. So there's a lot of Raquel gets called up and Dakota still stays. And a lot of people she feuded with, Shayna Baszler she feuded with for a while. She got called up. There's a lot of people who got called up who was after her. So she's been busting her butt in NXT. And I agree with, I would side with Dakota Kai. So for someone who's been busting her butt for so long and to still kind of be in a very similar spot that she was for years and not get that call up, I get it. I would advocate, that decision. If she, in fact, did, decide to, be the one who say, I'm not renewing my contract. So,
well,
good for her.
Wrestling is like Rome was. If you don't know how to play politics too, and I don't know what her, and politics, what I think is more important than politics is relationships. Because put me where I was, man, and the work ethic how I got there. But it was relationships. If it was not, if it wasn't for, Dusty, Jake helping me learn, but when I got there, the relationship I had with Scott and Kev, that was as solid as it could be. And I'm the one who got to drop those guys. And that was my idea. But Kev, it was funny to Kevin Sullivan's, his podcast, because he did one on me. I wanted to hear it, and I called him up and thanked him because he talked straight from the hip, man, on everything. But he had said Kevin was the one who came up with the idea. I brought the idea to Kevin. I said, you pitch it, because I'm not going to push that idea. But Kevin Scott got it done, because that 10-week period where they weren't doing it, started and stopping it, it was great in the big picture because it wasn't hot-shotting. So many things. That's what I love that's happened with Wardlow and Max. That's a 3-year angle, and dude, and they're pushing, man. I don't know if you saw him. I loved having Kaz out there, and people could see. He looks great. I would have brought him in completely different, but I think he did a job. He got his presence. The people got with it, and the push is the Wardlow. And if you remember anything, it used to be boring when matches weren't going right. Then it became Goldberg, because this match is lame. Get Goldberg out here and spear. And now it's Wardlow. You can't make people do that.
Yeah.
I think it's getting over.
Yeah, personally, I think I got a lot to think about AEW. There's things I'd like to see and I don't like. One of the things I do like, I think probably my favorite thing of AEW right now is the Wardlow angle. Just because I'm old school. I'm an old school wrestling fan. I like stories. I want something that I can sink my teeth in. I want something that's not hot-shotted. I want something that has layers to it so I can continue to be involved in it. Yeah. And this angle has layers to it. And that's what I like about it. There's a new person he's bringing in, and you're basically plowing through to reach to MJF. And I like that because that's making you look stronger and then getting the heat, from the biggest heel in all of professional wrestling. So I like it. I'm a fan of it. I think it's working for him.
For the kid Hangman, got a hell of a promo. He got a hell of a promo.
Kind of healed it up a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't known for being a talker, you know, but he's learning, and he did a hell of a job. I was, you know, I love that his last name is Page because he's good. He looks like he could be my legitimate son. much more handsome though.
He's your nephew, Dally. He's your nephew. Shoot him a cutter. Give him your blessings to shoot a cutter, and let him start doing the cutter. Yeah, I like the Larry.
Dude, he don't need it. He's got a hell of an arsenal.
Yeah, I like his gear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the gimmick that he does with the lariat. Yeah. Buckshot. That's what it's called. Buckshot lariat. So, yeah, I like Page. Cool. Let's jump into going down memory lane. We're talking about Kevin Nash. It's funny because we were talking about Kevin Nash. We're about to talk about Kevin Nash. I actually ended up watching the Hogan WWE Evil doc. Yeah, episode. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. And both of y'all were on it. It was pretty cool to see. I really enjoyed it. It was really cool. Kevin Nash was on it too. And we're going to talk about Kevin Nash. And I was posed this question to ask to the bro panel, the Bronal. Should have Kevin Nash ended the streak? As we know, the person who did end the streak was Brock Lesnar. To this day, I don't agree with it. Undertaker has 2 losses. The second one is to Roman Reigns. And should Kevin Nash have been the one to end the streak? Or I'm going to throw in another option. Should the streak have been ended, period? Paige, we'll start with you this time.
Streak had to be ended. You know, I think he should have taken the diamond cutter. You know, it was the perfect time. You know? But like, I wasn't a big fan of the prod, even though it came from Scott. I would rather have seen, I'd rather see Kev beat him. You know, I mean, Kev is the guy who could beat him. And then he could beat Kev. And then Kev could beat him. You know, I personally think, you know, he needed to get beat clean. That's my own thing. And Kevin Nash was the guy to do it, you know, all the way around. You know, Kevin will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, big man worker ever. And a ridiculously long, incredible run. And when you think about where he came from, all the gimmicks, and then by the time he got to Diesel, you know, everything just went boom, and then it just kept going for him because that good, and it took him a while to get there, but he needed to be him, and Diesel version of him, and I think that he definitely could have beat Bill in the middle, you know, and it could have been from some kind of screw job, but him walking into it, I don't think he needed that, but that is what it is, you know.
Yeah, very nice. So, Undertaker, I was talking about streaks. The Undertaker being, having a streak at WrestleMania, and Kevin Nash on that topic. Goldberg having that streak of 173-0, and I was thinking of major streaks in this wrestling business had to go to The Undertaker and Goldberg. Now, with The Undertaker, Brock ended it. Roman Reigns had that second loss. With Goldberg, Kevin Nash ended it with the cattle prod with Scott Hall. Paige gave his chiming in on it. How about you, Vince? Do you think that Kevin Nash should have ended the Goldberg winning streak of 173-0?
Yeah, man, I don't think Kevin needed it, bro. Like, Kevin Nash is a huge, huge star. And, I mean, to me, bro, I they could have definitely made somebody, you know, beating Goldberg, you know, and I wish they would have had a plan for it to be a somebody, maybe even somebody Goldberg picked, I don't know. But I don't think Kevin needed it, man. You know, Kevin's huge. Kevin went to WCW huge. Kevin's a big star. How does it get him any bigger? You know what I'm saying? I would have saved the opportunity for somebody that it would have really made, you know, you would have made a new guy, new star, holy crap moments. I just don't think Kevin needed it, man.
I'm going to throw a name out for you, Vince. You let me know what you think. Booker T.
Well, yeah, it would have had to been somebody that you wouldn't have believed could have beaten Goldberg. I mean, that would have really gave you the moment that this guy don't have a chance, and then the guy beats him. Yeah, and I mean, I think Booker would have been great. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think Booker T. Booker T actually does have a pinfall victory in WCW against Goldberg. And Goldberg was a heel, I believe. Booker T had a rock bottom for a little bit. He had the bookend, is what he would call it, and he pinned him. I remember that because I'm always been a big Booker T fan. He's one of my all-time top 5, and I popped in the WCW episode when he beat Goldberg. So I think, yeah, I mean with Goldberg, it just. And technically, before I go on about my thoughts on it, technically, Goldberg lost a match before the 173. You know who he lost to?
He did. Chad Fortune.
Chad Fortune. I interviewed Chad Fortune. Yeah, he did. Yep, good call. Good trivia there, Paige. Yep. He lost to Chad Fortune, and I interviewed Chad Fortune. We talked about it. He lost his match against him, and then the streak happened. So technically,
well,
he wasn't once.
People didn't pick up on the streak till much later. You know,
true.
Who even thinks there's going to be such? Excuse me. Who even thinks there's going to be such a thing of the 173? You know. Yep. But I remember walking up behind Bish and putting my hands like on his shoulders, and that time maybe he's 45-0, and just said, "Don't let anybody up this up, bro." This kid, I'm in a strip joint called the Gold Club 5 years before he ever came in, and Bish was with me. I'm like, hey, this kid, you got to meet him, and you know that's where it started. Me and Bill became good buds. We stayed in contact. We get together once in a while, and then one day Sting and Lex brought him in, and next thing you know, he was signed up and down the power plant.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Paige. When, from a backstage standpoint and from Bischoff and company, when did the streak start catching wind? Because even with Taker's streak, like it wasn't like initially supposed to be like pinned to be a streak, and it started catching wind. Like, wait a minute, he's won 10 WrestleManias at this point. Let's kind of keep this going.
Right.
With Goldberg, when did it catch wind?
You know, I wouldn't think it was before like 20 or something. But when
gotcha.
All enhancement one after another. But when that sumbitch walked out there, like, he looks like a world champion.
For sure.
He acted like a world champion. You know, he was, you know, it's the old thing. He had the look, he had the size, he had the charisma, he had the it factor. You know, we talked about a few weeks ago. If they'd given him a little bit longer, he'd have found his voice too. But everything was on him, man. And he delivered. That match he did with Hogan, you go back and think how long he worked. It was a hell of a match. You know, and the match he did with me was a hell of a match. You know, again, he needed to be led in those scenarios, but he delivered, you know?
Yeah, I mean, he's only in business from a television standpoint a year. You know, he started in 97, and that match with Hogan was, July of 98, right?
Right.
Yeah, at the Georgia Dome. So, yeah, he was a year in. So, you know, to have that type of pressure on you just a year in your career.
44,000 people in his
exactly.
Now.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Wow, I was doing my thing with Malone at the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
Yeah.
we were we came running out there and make a save, you know. But you know, and I want to say that I'm sure Bish had a lot to do with it, but I want to say that was Terry's idea, you know. I think it was Hogan's idea. Thought in him, you know. So,
yeah. Hey, it makes sense. I mean, he was the hottest thing, you know, in WCW, other than the NWU and the NWO gimmick and the Malone thing going on. And so, yeah, it made sense to give him the strap. So let's land the plane, ladies and gentlemen, and bros with the low bro. So Mick Foley was on the Woo Nation podcast, and he opened up about his altercation with Ric Flair, where Flair punched him. He talked about going to him for a handshake. Flair going to him for a handshake. He didn't shake his hand, but instead asked him for an autograph. There was a little bit of heat between Flair and Foley, especially they had I think it was a SummerSlam. They ended up having a match together, and they were cutting some scathing promos, especially Flair was cutting some scathing promos against Mick Foley. Flair even saying Foley is glorified stuntman. Just a lot of things that Flair really was shooting on his feelings on Foley throughout his career, past 20 plus years. Your thoughts on that? We'll start with you, Vince. Your thoughts on the Mick Foley, Ric Flair heat between the two, and how much of this did you know about it, or were you told, or given thoughts?
Yeah, bro, I gotta tell you, man, I hate wrestling heat. I think wrestling heat is so stupid and so silly, bro. Let me tell you something. I've known Mick since 91, I guess, you know, bro. We're both from Long Island, rivaling high schools. You know, I've known Mick for a very long time. Bro, personally, man, Mick Foley is the kind of guy, like, if you can't get along with Mick, like, you got to kind of look yourself in the mirror. He's such a good, down-to-earth guy, bro, sweetheart of a guy. I hate the wrestling heat in the business. I swear to God, bro, I get so sickened when I go on YouTube and every other clip is so-and-so shoots on this one and 30 guys shoot on Diamond Dallas Page and this one shoots on... I can't stand that wrestling crap, bro. At the end of the day, man, whether you were Flair, whether you were Foley, whether you were Page, whether you were me, bro, you were going to work every day trying to make a living. Like, that's what you were trying to do. You're sacrificing a lot. You're sacrificing family. You're missing a lot. You're just trying to make a living. And when wrestlers turn it so personal, bro, especially, I mean, my gosh, how long have both of these guys really been out of the business? I just think that's so unfortunate, man. You know, that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Paige, your thoughts?
I love both those guys. So, you know, me and Flair had a roadie, but I love the dude, man. So, you know, and we're just a group of, you know, dysfunctional family. that's who we are, you know, all of us. Anybody who's been to the show, and even the guys who are just trying to come up, you know, it's just ego plays into certain stuff. But both of those cats are special individuals.
Yep.
I got nothing but love for both of them. So I got nothing.
Yeah.
No negativity for really anybody who's ever been in our business. You know, that moment, absolutely. But they were moments, man. You know, like harboring any kind of anger or heat or anything is like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to die. You know, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. So
yeah, it's you know, good call, Paige. It's like one of those things of like, hey, I can beat my brother up any day of the week, but someone else, you know, that tries to come and tries to beat up my brother. No, sir. You know, we're not doing this. Now we're allies.
You can see it happen many times where that man has hit the ring. You know, has hit the ring.
Right.
Someone's taking a fall, and you watch how much that other guy, even if they hate each other at the moment, he's going to help him and save him. I did. Oh, my God. And I don't know how this doesn't happen more, because there's always the next thing of the greatest. What made him think to do that? And I'll just go back to Sammy Guevara's springboard off the top rope onto the top of the ladder, and then springing through and catching Cody, you know, with that diamond cutter. There's so much room for error. I watched some poor son of a bitch who was way too heavy to do this. And he wasn't real heavy, but he was probably about 30 or 40 pounds overweight. And he was on the top rope, and he's about to do something, and he just goes, and the guy who's going to try to catch him, he like dives at him to try to help him. And, you know, I mean, it was just, you know, but
wow.
The kids today are so talented. It's unbelievable. I mean, there's so many guys you could name. It wasn't like back in my day where there's like 5 guys who could do like unbelievable athletic. Like today, there's in the independents, there's friggin' 2,000, you know? Yeah. And there's just so many of them, but God bless them, man. You know, friggin', but no matter what happens, you know, when Piper got stabbed, there's no way whoever he was fighting was trying to say, yeah, stab him some more. He punched that guy out. You know, if he had the opportunity, he punched his ass out. You know, and friggin' kept going back to the locker room. You know?
It's a brotherhood, man.
Yeah,
yep. Absolutely.